Gamepoke.
It seems more and more common these days that when people want to play their old games, like from their Mega Drive, or their Super Nintendo, or hell, even their PS1, they want to play those things on a modern telly. Problem with that is that game footage from those type of consoles on a modern television looks like shit. And if you have a 4K telly, then you're screwed, because those things don't even have SCART, it's HDMI only. And it's because of this I've had a fair few people ask me how come I'm able to record game footage from old consoles and not have it look like shit. So today I'm going to show you how to get your games looking top quality on a top quality TV. First of all, before we get the converters, I should show you the equipment I actually use to record. And I use an Elgato Game Capture HD device. These things aren't the cheapest. This one cost me £100, but you don't actually need this just to be able to play your old consoles on a modern telly. You only need this, of course, if you want to record. So if you don't give a shit about recording and only want to know how to get a converter to work or which converter to buy, just skip along a bit in the video. So with this Elgato, you are able to plug in any type of composite from old consoles. It's pretty simple and it works okay. The question is, does it look good? I'm going to show you one game played on Elgato without a converter, then with two different converters so you can decide which one's worth buying. And the game we're going to test is, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just because everyone's familiar with it, so it's fair to say everyone knows what it should look like. Also, I should point out right now that apparently, according to top YouTubers, the best converter out there is one called the Framemeister. Problem is, this will set you back hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And we want to try and find an alternative, one that you can actually fucking afford. So first of all, let's see what Sonic the Hedgehog looks like when plugged into just this without a converter. It's fair to say that the game footage is, it's kind of fuzzy, it's not brilliant. So we'll use the footage of this as a reference and we'll go on to one of the converters at last. Here we have the HD video converter. Not the snazziest of fucking names, but you can find this model just about anywhere online. I've been using this thing for quite a while and the footage is really good. So before we get to the bad things about it, let's just show you some of the game footage of Sonic the Hedgehog with this. As you can see, everything looks so much better. The pixels look more crisp, the colours are more pronounced, everything just looks better. There is one downside about playing it though. When this is plugged into the Elgato, there is quite a lot of lag. You'll find yourself dying or missing jumps or just doing silly little fuck-ups for no reason other than the fact the lag is quite bad. But don't worry, when this thing is not plugged into the Elgato, it looks just as good and all that lag is gone, it's out of there. But as for bad points about this converter, well, this is actually the third one I've ever owned. The first one I owned, the plug died. For no fucking reason, it just gave up the ghost and stopped working. Normally you think, oh, never mind, I'll just open it up. The fuse is obviously gone, I'll change it. Well, you won't be opening this one up because there's no screws. And there's no replaceable fuse inside. When the plug's gone, it's fucked. So I did the sensible thing and bought another plug online. And yes, I got one with the exact same voltage, so it should have worked. But it didn't, and the converter died. Probably due to overcharge, who can say for sure, all I know is the thing was fucked. So I went on the internet and bought another one. It lasted a while, and then it died, and I couldn't figure out why. The plug worked, I know it fucking worked, but I couldn't get anything out of the damn thing. No footage was coming out at all. Whether it was plugged into the Elgato or not, it just didn't work. So I had to buy a third one. After having the third one for one bloody week, the second one decided, I work again! And now I have two of the same converter. The second one hasn't broken down on me again, and the way I see it, I now have a spare. So yay and nay at the same time. Also, on average, this thing costs about 30 quid, which is a lot better than a Framemeister. And finally, we're going to look at this fucking thing. This is the typical converter you will see everywhere online. Amazon seem to have about 1 million of them. eBay's no bloody different. The power supply provided actually goes into a USB part on the other end, so it can be plugged in pretty much anywhere. Now, while the last converter had a decent metal shell to it, this one is just cheap plastic, there's not much to it. But the real question is, does it work? well, it's fair to say that it doesn't look quite as good as the other converter. In fact, it's a little bit less colourful. As in, there is no colour. This is fucking shit. Now you may be telling me, oh, it's because it's plugged into the Elgato, it clearly doesn't like it. Well, I plugged it into the telly without the Elgato afterwards, and guess what? Nothing changed, it was still black and white. I even tried it in 2 other tellies. Still black and white. As far as I'm concerned, this thing is nothing but £30 of toilet paper. It's fucking shit. It doesn't work at all. But I have a fantastic idea. Maybe if we tried and played a more modern game with it. Like a PS1 game. Like Crash Bandicoot. Ah, but Crash Bandicoot isn't Sega. Wait, never mind, I have a great idea. If we turn this thing over and just write Sega on it, maybe now it'll play really well. So instead of Crash Bandicoot looking like this, it now looks like this. All thanks to the power of being plugged into a converter that says Sega on it. And if you believe that, you're a fucking idiot. This thing is shit, don't buy one. So yeah, while it's true, I have had some bad luck with this converter. The first one, the plug died. The second one, I honestly don't know. I can't deny that you still do get your money's worth. And compared to a Framemeister, which can cost anything from £200 to £500, this £30 metal jobby is worth it. At least trying anyway. I wouldn't be recommending it if I didn't think it was the best out there. For the money, at least. Anyway, that's my opinion. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Gamepoke. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. If you want to talk about the converter, find out more, or just basically tell me I'm an idiot for doing that stupid little joke, go ahead and write in the comments, it's all good. And lastly, if you want to help the channel out, please click subscribe. It really does help. Thank you very much again. I'll see you next time.